Welcome to Tales from the Waystone, a Kingkiller Chronicle reread podcast.
We are your hosts, Will and Phoenix. Let's get into it.
So, this is a little different. We're not actually doing a full episode today. This is more just an opportunity to discuss the future of this podcast.
All right. So, real talk. There's a reason that we did this. We had every intention of reading and recording a couple of weeks ago, and then the next week, and then over the next week, and then being able to edit and all of that stuff. But we're adults, and we had people over for an entire week.
Life happens.
And we had to clean up our home. So we also started thinking about the fact that we have about 130 pages left of the paperback to read.
And if we keep up our normal pace of about 20 pages an episode, we're going to be out of podcast here in about 6 to 8 episodes. So that gives us two options. Either A, we employ Zeno's defense and we just have our page count each time until the point where we're down to half of a word. I don't think anybody wants that. Or we start thinking seriously about what comes next in the meantime while we wait for the hopeful book 3. So we're going to employ option 2. That's why we're proud to announce Tales from the Waystone Summer Reading Program,
which will start probably this winter.
It's summer in the Southern Hemisphere.
We don't live in the Southern Hemisphere.
But some of our listeners do.
You're not wrong. Anyway, this is all kind of born out from a joke from like 4 years ago, where we talked about how when we were kids, there were summer reading programs. And I'm sure that they still exist, but the ones that we specifically remember are.
It was the Book It program for me, where you'd read a certain number of books and then you get a personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut.
And for me, it was through the Seattle library system or the King County library system. And I got stickers with vegetables on them.
I think you probably could have also gotten a pizza out of the deal.
I don't remember. I was like 5.
So in that spirit, we're going to do truncated looks at each of these books, limiting them to 7 episodes, because 7's a lucky number.
And because it's important to the Kingkiller Chronicle.
Exactly.
That's actually why we're doing that. Will's just making things up now.
Of course. We're all making things up.
What are words?
Making things up.
Oh, look, it's a thing over there. What do I call it?
Exactly. Something I made up. So, to that end, we've got to pick our inaugural book, and we'd like your help.
We would like to know if you would like us to read a book by N.K. Jemisin, which is called The Killing Moon, which I believe I've recommended on this podcast. It's an interesting take on a fantasy novel because it's not like white Anglo-Saxon setting of like dwarves and elves and things, but it's still firmly in that fantasy genre. And it's more like a desert society and looks at religion and mysticism in what I think is a very interesting way. And that one, both of us have read. The next one is The Rise of Kyoshi, which is an Avatar: The Last Airbender book. Both of us love Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm really happy that they delved into the backstories of former avatars. And Kyoshi, for good reason, was the first one that they did this with. And I think that she's an interesting character to examine. I've listened to the book and Will has not yet read it. And then the book that my bookmark got stuck in and I need an excuse to continue reading, because it's not a bad book. It's just that I am a bad reader. I get either trained myself to fall asleep during reading, or I just kind of let artificial barriers get in the way. And so that book that my bookmark's kind of right in the middle of right now and would be nice to continue reading and I think would be fun is Legends and Lattes. And we might go into the sequels of any of these if y'all like them.
We also would love it if you have suggestions of your own. We'll be putting a poll up in our Discord server and on our Patreon so that you can participate, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Patreon.com/waystonepod. There will be a link to the Discord there. There's also links to the Discord in our descriptions of our podcast. And I know that we don't have a lot of people, and so your vote matters a lot. But those are the 3 that we are thinking of for the very first 7 episodes of our summer reading program. And I think that we're going to continue doing books from the summer reading program until we get more things from Patrick Rothfuss, and then we'll take breaks and do that. Please also let us know if you'd like us to dive into The Slow Regard of Silent Things. I personally think that it's a better experience if listened to by Pat reading it on the audiobook. The patter is hard to read off the page, for me at least. I think that it's an interesting experience, and I think that it's an interesting experiment, but I don't know that it's a successful book.
Yeah, I fall asleep every time I try and tackle it, whether it's writing or listening. So maybe give me an excuse to stay up.
So just let us know if that's something you would like us to do the same treatment that we did The Narrow Road Between Desires and The Lightning Tree with. I don't think we can stretch that one to 7 episodes. Just letting you know.
I don't want to try.
And Will doesn't want to try. So that might be a thing that we do for the Patreon. And if enough people want it and don't want to necessarily pay for it, I might just make it freely available there, up to people who contact us on our Patreon or on our Discord. Which, I mean, we love talking with y'all. We might not be the most vocal or the most active on these things, but it matters to us, and give us an excuse to engage more with our audience. We'd love that. Now, stretch goal. I can't guarantee I'll do this because I said 4 years ago I wanted to make broccoli stickers, and I got to the drawing portion, and I still have one that I have drawn, and it's up on the Instagram, which I am not good at keeping up with. But if you want like little, maybe even digital merit badges to say, hey, we got through this together, or if you want me to try to find a way to make you stickers, I'd love an excuse. So, just talk to us about that and we'll see what happens. Anyway, I have to keep this short because I have to edit it on Monday because it comes out on Tuesday, and we're going to apologize up that whatever that we didn't do an actual episode, even though we said we were. But we have like maybe 12 to 15 weeks more of The Wise Man's Fear. And then because we just don't want to stop, we would love to read more books with you.
Well, with that, I'd like to thank you for potting with me.
Thank you for potting with me.
And thank you for listening to Tales from the Waystone.
Join us next week for the thing that we said last time that we would do this week. Or rather 2 weeks from now. I don't know. Anyway, I would like to thank our friend Shawnee Jang for our theme music.
And many thanks to all of the authors and contributors that we've enjoyed exploring worlds from.
I like that. Audio production, editing, and social media coordination, such as it is, courtesy of me, Phoenix McCullough.
And writing and project management, courtesy of me, Will McCullough.
If you would like to help support us or answer the poll, please consider being a patron on our Patreon page. You can even sign up for free. Patreon.com/waystonepod.
And of course, our Discord server, which is probably a little more fun.
Links, places. And with that, here's to one more day above the roses.
To one more day above the roses. Ding!
Ding. So the levels stay somewhat consistent. Consistent? Consistent.
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 That's consistently good.